Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing my second run of the Arena Open Day 1 event. This is going to be a best of 1 Baldur's Gate sealed event. If we manage to get 7 wins before we get 3 losses, we'll qualify for the best of 3 traditional draft Baldur's Gate event tomorrow, where there are cash prizes on the line if we can get a 3-win draft run before getting a single loss in that run. That's how we get into the second draft tomorrow, which is where the cash money is at. But for today, this is going to cost 5,000 gems or 25,000 gold, and we're going to get absolutely nothing back unless we get at least 5 wins where we get 1,000 gems back. 6 wins, we get half our gems back, and at 7 wins, we get our entry fee back as well as qualification into day 2. So again, this is my second attempt. We're really just going for day 2 over anything else here, but I would still be happy to at least have a positive win rate in this more competitive event. At least have a decent showing, whatever happens here. So let's see what we open up in our second sealed pool. I am a much bigger fan of the rares this time around. I don't remember if I played a single rare last time. Don't think I did. I might have played 1. This time, hopefully, we'll get to play 1, maybe even 2. We have Shadowheart being the best and easiest to play rare here because it is mono-colored. It's a 2-drop Death Toucher that can specialize later to become absolutely ridiculous no matter what color you are specializing it into. So Shadowheart is going to be a really big draw into black. We also have 2 other black rares, Asterion and White Black, which is pretty solid, letting you double up your damage each turn or double up your life gain each turn. 6 mana for only a 4/4 body is pretty low, but that additional effect on it is a pretty large. Raphael, Fiendish Savior, is a really good black-red rare, a 5 mana 4/4 flyer that gives your other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings +1/+1 and lifelink, and you'd be surprised, there's a decent amount of those. You'll probably randomly have at least 2 creatures that this could buff in your deck. And it's going to spit out devil tokens at the beginning of each end step if a creature you control was put into a graveyard from anywhere this turn. And those devil tokens, as long as Raphael is on board, will be 2/2 lifelinkers, and when they die, they deal 1 to any target. So another great rare there. And Horn of Valhalla, a solid rare, slower than anything else there, but still a pretty great one. That Easegard's Call, the Adventures, the really big ability here. You're going to slam that down for like 6 mana, get 4 1/1s, and then you leave behind this equipment that is going to start making those 1/1s incredibly relevant, because you can equip a 1/1 if you have like 6 creatures on board. Now it's a 7/7, and you just attack with one of these soldiers each turn and make it big enough to trade into your opponent's massive creatures. Just make it a huge threat. So Horn of Valhalla, also great. And then our last 2 rares are certainly the weakest. Stroke of Luck is playable. This is a 2 mana sorcery to look at the top 4 cards of your library, choose one of them, and put all cards with the same name as it into your hand. Lose a life for each card put into your hand this way. It's a sorcery speed impulse, which isn't great, but it is playable, whereas Flames of Moradin is completely unplayable. A 4 mana sorcery that destroys 3 artifacts. That's way too narrow, no matter how good the rest of the text on this card is, for limited. So very, very excited about the potential black and white rares here. Hopefully we have some good support in the sealed pool to go those colors. But first and foremost, as always, I'm going to check out our other multicolored and colorless cards. Big fan of Pilgrim's Eye here in the colorless cards, giving us the mana fixing we need to easily splash into another color of our rares. We also have Liara of the Flaming Fist in the gold cards, 2 of this for a very good red-white aggro deck. And our other multicolored card is Minthara of the Absolute, so we get to play tons of incredibly powerful cards if we can find a way to get a deck that is red, white, and black. We also have Meteor Golem here at 7 mana, pretty solid addition to almost any deck. If we really need mana fixing, we can play Lantern of Revealing, but it is a 3-drop that isn't adding anything to our board state in terms of creatures, and it's going to be really slow for a red, white, black deck. Those are the 3 most aggressive colors in this format. So I prefer not to have to use that if possible. Hopefully we have like a lot of treasure production in red or black or something to really help us get there. But yeah, really nice gold cards. Really nice colorless cards. We also have a Cloak of the Bats if we want to give stuff flying in haste, but that's not particularly exciting. So we'll take a look now. We'll start with white and move towards black and red. Taking a look at our white, we have Monk of the Open Hand, which works well in an aggressive deck. Patriarch's Humiliation is great removal in pretty much any deck in this format with the high creature counts that this format has. Steadfast Unicorn is a beautiful unicorn as well as a great card, being a 1-drop that stays relevant when it's drawn at any point in the game because of that big Anthem effect buffing your field and giving it Vigilance. 3 copies of Ambush on the Road, just some weird little instant speed tricks, probably not going to make the cut if we're playing a 3-color deck or a 2-color deck splashing a 3rd color. Our card quality is probably high enough to not want tricks like that. Horn of Valhalla is going to get slammed right into the deck. Mace of Disruption is a very slow, very weak equipment. I tend not to run that ever. Valiant Farewell, kind of similar problem to Ambushed on the Road. It's just a little combat trick here, unlikely to make the cut when we're going for 3 colors of stuff. Then we have Blessed Hippogriff, which is a great creature here. Has an incredible adventure, giving something indestructible till end of turn at instant speed, and then it comes down as a 2/3 flyer for 4 mana that makes another attacking creature flying each turn, so that is a great card. And then the rest of our white is a little more filler, but if we need to up that creature count, if we need to up the white card count, we could put Icewind Stalwart, Ranger Squadron, and Guardian Naga in here. They're all just a little slow for their respective mana costs, but they're all fine. So white has a few really good cards like Horn of Valhalla and Blessed Hippogriff, but white might be kind of the splash. Maybe we go black-red as the core. Again, we could make it the core of the deck if we need to, put some more filler creatures in, maybe some filler combat tricks, but hopefully white can end up being kind of the splashy sort of color. We will take a look at blue real quick, but it's highly unlikely to get played with how good our white, black, and red gold cards and rare cards are. And it doesn't look very good. It's very, very rare that your blue is going to be great. I do like that we have double Sword Coast Serpent. That's one of the better blue cards in the format. It's got a solid adventure and then a big late game creature that can really close out the game, being unblockable if you've cast a non-creature spell this turn. We also have Air Cult Elemental, another great late game drop. But other than that, not too much in blue. Pseudo Dragon is pretty filler. Tomorrow's Invoker's pretty filler. Val's nice. Val is slow, but Val probably still plays pretty well in Sealed. But then we have a couple of the counter spells. This format tends to play a little too fast for like a 3-mana counter spell like that. Shocking Grasp, which is kind of whatever. Double Hypnotic Pattern, which are very filler. And then Charmed Sleep, which I really don't like because of all the flicker effects and the main deckable artifact and enchantment removal. So blue is fine, but there's really nothing pulling us into blue. When we've seen our multicolored stuff, there's a lot of stuff pulling us towards white, black, and red, some combination of all those. And our black is looking excellent. Wow. So we do have some more filler cards like Stroke of Luck, Triple Hook Horror, Chain Devils I'm not a super massive fan of. But then we do have some really good stuff in black. First and foremost, Horde Robber is going to play really well for us because we're going to be splashing a 3rd color, pretty much guaranteed. So anything we can use to get some treasure tokens is going to be nice. And for the same reason, Deadly Dispute here is going to be a great card for us, getting a treasure token and some cards. And Grim Bounty as well, a removal spell that spits out a treasure token, is perfect. Then we just have really nice on-curve aggressive creatures like Sepulchre Ghoul, Shadowheart, Vampire Spawn, Nefarious Imp, all being great role fillers. And we've got a nice bomb at 4 mana. Saravok the Usurper can really close out some games after some creatures have traded off early on. So really like the look of our black deck here. And Grim Wanderer is fine. If you have a decent curve of creatures, you should be trading creatures off often enough to trigger the tragic backstory and be able to cast this. So Grim Wanderer fine there, but Chain Devil, Hook Horror, not super pumped about those cards. We don't have anything super expendable for the Chain Devils to get sacrificed. Unless we really want to go for the Hook Horror Chain Devil combo, then we could run both of them, I guess, and wait to play Chain Devils till we have some Hook Horrors on board. But they're pretty slow. Not a super duper big fan of those. We probably don't have the room for them once we're playing our red and white cards because we've got like some big bomb sort of stuff. Take a look at our red now, but black looks great, and black can definitely be a primary color of the deck. It does not have to be splashed. We can have it in the main deck and use those treasure tokens to help splash our other colors. See how red looks now? Trap Finder, pretty low impact on this card. 1 mana, 1/1. When it dies, you do seek another creature, but that creature's just going to die in the end step anyway. Battlecry Goblin is definitely great, though. Very high impact card if you play it early game or late game because of that mana sink ability. Dragon's Fire is wonderful, cheap removal. Rabble Rouser is a great cheap creature, one of the best double teamers because of that fire breathing ability where you can really attack in with this later in the game or earlier in the game. Plus high toughness is nice. Double Hobgoblin Captain, great for getting aggressive. They're also really nice with Battlecry Goblin because they will get the additional buff. Battlecry Goblin does buff all of your goblins on the board. Ambergris is phenomenal in aggressive decks. It's going to let us discard our hand and draw 2 every time it attacks, and it specializes into some nasty cards that can deal some extra damage as we're discarding cards, or give stuff -X/-X, where X is the number of cards we've discarded, or in white, give our creatures +X/+X, where X is the cards discarded. So Ambergris is nuts and definitely makes the cut. Sometimes I don't like playing improvised weaponry if I have like really good removal and I don't need treasure tokens much, but we definitely like the treasure tokens that this card makes a lot. So even if we have great removal, I'm still going to want this improvised weaponry for the treasure here for splashing in our white cards. Valor Singers are really nice, buffing up your creature's power, letting them attack into higher toughness creatures than they normally could otherwise. So I like a couple of those, maybe not all 3. I'll put all 3 in for now, but I think we're going to keep it like that. Definitely not playing Flames of Moradin, probably not playing Incessant Provocation, although we do have a Sepulchre Ghoul and a Deadly Dispute to sacrifice our opponents in cards, so it's possible we just go for the really aggro red-black deck and try to outrace all the other sealed decks by basically playing a draft deck and sealed, so I'll put that in for now. That's a possibility. Young Red Dragon, I actually do like that Bathe in Gold treasure here if we are trying to splash in our white cards, but I do not really like 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer that can't block. That being said, it could be worth it for the treasure token. And then Farida's Fireball is fine. It's kind of a lot of mana for that removal spell, but it's a removal spell that always does an extra 2 damage to our opponent. Even if it does 2 to us, it'll do 2 to our opponent as well. So kind of what we want of our late game removal. It's going to clear out a relatively big creature and do a little bit of extra damage to our opponent, maybe close out the game there. So really like our red. I think a red-black aggro deck could really work out here. Maybe not even splashing white, but we're definitely going to look at it with or without the splash and see how they look. Want to have all of my I's dotted and my T's crossed here, so I'm going to take a look at all the green and make sure we've looked at everything, but I think it's highly unlikely we play green. That being said, our green's pretty good. Our green is pretty good. We have the Dreadlin Orb, which has a huge adventure, and it's a pretty hard to block creature that can close out the game in only a couple swings. So that's really nice. Herd Gorger's a great card to ramp into because it is going to gain you that extra life, really lets you stabilize. Owlbear's great, letting you draw a card when you play it. Ambitious Dragonborn's pretty inconsistent, though. Sometimes you're going to draw this where all your creatures are your 2/3s and your 1/1s and stuff, and it's going to be really bad. But then other times you'll draw it when you have a 7/6. I'm not a big fan of that since it's inconsistent. Sylvan Shepherd, the Basilisks, Knoll Hunter, Circle of the Landru, these are all really filler, but the Prosperous Innkeepers are good at ramping us up, gaining us life to stay in the game, and our non-creature slot isn't that great. Choose Your Weapons are fine little tricks that give us main deck flying hate, but I'm not in love with them. And then Poison the Blade isn't great. Line Up the Shot is pretty good, but not the greatest non-creature suite here. So green is solid, but it's definitely not worth bucking the trend and hopping off from these rares that we have in black and potentially red here. So what do we want to do now that we've looked at every color and all of our colorless cards? I think first and foremost, I just want to immediately just slap together the Rakdos aggro deck, because black and red both look incredible here. We might not even be doing any splashy stuff. We might be able to just play basically a black-red draft deck in sealed, which should be pretty hard to beat for slower strategies. So this is 50 cards already. Was there any colorless cards we'd play in a black-red deck? Probably not. I don't think we're playing Meteor Golem in an aggressive Rakdos deck here, because we're probably cutting a land going down to 16, and it's going to be hard to hit a 7-drop. And then we're not going to play Pilgrim's Eye if we stick in just black-red, but we could play that if we're trying to splash white for Asterion or Menthara or something. But I'm going to try not to do that if I don't have to, because I think the prospects of a nice aggressive Rakdos deck make me pretty excited here. Let's see. What are our first cuts? I'm definitely, I think, going to cut the 3-hook horror, because I'd like to keep the curve really low for this aggressive deck here, and probably cut a land as well. So definitely cutting the hook horrors, and we're definitely cutting Flames of Moradin. 6 more cuts. I'm just going to cut a land immediately so I know how many non-lands I need to cut, and it's going to be 5 more. Move this Grim Wanderer over to like a 4-drop slot because that's kind of where it actually fits into the curve. Looking at 20 creatures, 9 non-creatures. I like to end up at like 17-6 for most decks, like aggro decks and stuff. Yeah, so getting to that count would be cut 3 creatures, 3 non-creatures here. Well, I guess since we cut a land, we'd have 18 creatures or 7 non-creatures. I haven't been a fan of Unexpected Allies. It's really hard to find the time to cast this in the middle of your curve because you're wanting to just keep committing more and more to the board rather than spending mana just kind of drawing an extra creature here. So really haven't loved Unexpected Allies. Stroke of Luck also seems pretty slow. Sorcery Speed, it's 2 of our mana. We're going to be using that mana in the early game, just playing as many creatures out, being as aggressive as possible. I think in this kind of deck, we really just want creatures and removal, so we can cut those immediately. 1 more non-creature card we could cut. Maybe you come to the Null Camp or the Provocation. I do like that Provocation does work well with Sepulchral Ghoul and Deadly Dispute, but I think that's it. Those 2 cards it works well with. It could find us lethal, though, out of nowhere as well. You come to the Null Camp is similar. Sometimes it can find us lethal out of nowhere with Intimidate them or fend them off, but never massively huge impact. I think I'd rather play Provocation than you come to the Null Camp. Both are probably our weakest non-creatures at that point. When we go to the creatures that we want to cut out of here, I still don't love Goblin Trapfinder, just a 1-mana 1/1 here. Even though it does get us that next creature when it does die, we get like 1 creature for a single turn that we get to try to attack with. Just not in love with it. Really like pretty much all of our 2-drops except Horde Robber looks like the weakest one, but that's still good with Deadly Dispute, and it could ramp us up, and it could let us splash in a white card or 2 if we want to go in that direction. I think with how aggressive and low curve this deck is looking, if we splash a white card, it's probably going to be Minthara. You'd probably splash her off of just treasure tokens, don't even try to put Pilgrim's Eye in here. I really like all of our 3-drops a lot, but maybe 3 Valor Singers is a bit much. We could cut one of those. Don't love the Young Red Dragon. I think if we're not splashing white, I'm going to cut Young Red Dragon. But otherwise, we'd cut Chain Devils because our creatures aren't the most expendable things ever. That being said, they're probably worse than our opponent's creatures once we get to the late game where we are casting Chain Devils. This will hopefully, come in against those green matchups, and we can play this to sack a 1/2 and they have to sack a 7/6. That's Magical Christmas Land, though, because often our opponent will have a mana dork they can sack instead. Chain Devil, I think, is the next closest to getting cut, but I'm definitely not cutting Saravok or Raphael. Grim Wanderer is an option, too, because it is inconsistent. You do have to get it to trigger well. So these are the potential cuts here. We're just cutting 2 of them. I think I'm going to drop a Trap Finder and a Chain Devil, or a Trap Finder Young Red Dragon. I think I'm cool keeping triple Valor Singer in. And then because there's 4 different cards I could cut here, and I only need to cut 2 of them, I just cut 1 Trap Finder Chain Devil. Then if I want to cut another card, then with that extra slot that we open up, we could splash in a white card here. Don't think we splash in Horn of Valhalla because it does need double white. But I think Minthara would actually be kind of sweet in this deck. Liara is a much harder splash because we really need Liara early for Liara to be super good. We also need double white for Liara, so splashing her off of exclusively treasure tokens is pretty difficult. We need a treasure token to cast her and a treasure token to pay the cost. But with Minthara, we splash her off of a treasure token, and then if we get any more treasure tokens, we can really easily keep using her her intensity increase. And our deck is so aggressive, we're trading creatures off willy-nilly to increase the intensity as well, and giving our whole field +1/+0 is huge. We've got a high creature count, still have 20 creatures right now. So we're gonna have 17, 18 creatures in the final list. I like the idea of trying to get Minthara in here. How many treasure token producing cards do we have, though? Because the question is, do I need to play a Plains. Because if I need to play a Plains, that is going to put pretty big hindrance on the deck. We've got like a double black Grim Bounty, double red Faraday's Fireball. We need to have red and black on turn 2 so we can play whatever 2-drops we want. Making the mana base any less consistent is a pretty big deal. So if I have 4 treasure producers, I think I'm going to put Minthara in here with 0 Plains. But if not, if I only have 2 or 3, then I'll probably just not even put the Minthara in. And just keep it as is, because I really don't want to slow my deck down and put in a 3-mana 1/1 Pilgrim's Eye just to pull out a Plains. Because then I'm making my mana slightly less consistent, because we've got a Plains in here instead of a Swamp or Mountain, plus slowing the deck down, putting a 3-mana 1/1 in the deck. So let's see. We have Deadly Dispute, Hoard Robber, that's 2 potential ways to get a treasure. Improvised Weaponry is a 3rd potential way to get a treasure. Grim Bounty is a 4th potential way to get a treasure. And if we keep Young Red Dragon in, that is a 5th way with Bathe in Gold. So we can keep Young Red Dragon and Minthara then, in which case we cut these 3, and this is the No Plains Minthara deck. I think we have 5 ways to end up with a treasure token on our board. I think we can put Minthara in without a Plains. But we need to use our treasure tokens very sparingly, unless it's going to like find us lethal by casting a fireball. We just keep that treasure around in case we hit Minthara. This deck looks good. This looks so aggro. So aggro for sealed. I don't want to get too excited about this, but this looks like a pretty good deck to me. Got solid removal as well. Dragon's Fire, Weaponry, Grim Bounty, and Fireball. Provocation could be removal alongside a Sepulchre Ghoul or a Deadly Dispute. We've got bombs. We have a Raphael and a Minthara, a high creature count here, 18 creatures because we are a 16 land deck. How's our count looking? We have 14 red cards, 11 black cards. Do I even split that, or do I lean towards black? 14-11 is close enough, and black is pretty important. We have double black on Grim Bounty we really want turn 4. I think I even split it here and call it a deck. Alright, here we are with a final look at the final deck I will be playing. We're playing a Rakdos aggro deck that looks so close to just like an aggressive draft deck. We've got a ton of aggressive 2-mana creatures that are just really brutally good. We've got double Hobgoblin Captain, Genasi Rabble-Rouser, Battlecry Goblin, and Sepulchre Ghoul all being premium 2-drop common aggro creatures. We have Shadowheart as well for a bomb at the 2-mana slot. And then we have Hoard Robber to potentially get some treasure tokens out with some other treasure production for a Minthara with no Plains in the deck. We're going to splash her in exclusively off of Hoard Robber, Deadly Dispute, Improvised Weaponry, Grim Bounty, and Bathe in Gold off the Young Red Dragon here. Look at our 3-mana creatures. We have a lot of the premium aggressive drops there as well. Vampire Spawn, Triple Valor Singer, and Ambergris. We've got a Nefarious Imp in the sky that can keep us scrying as our creatures are trading off. And then at 4 mana and above, we get to some bomby creatures. We have the Minthara that's going to up the power of all of our creatures every time we trade off, or every time we sacrifice a treasure token. We have Servok the Usurper, potentially giving a huge buff every time we go to combat. And Raphael at 5 mana being a big old bomb in here. We've got a lot of tieflings, some imps. Even if we never create a card off of that, we have 1 imp, 4 tieflings in the deck that could potentially get the +1/+1 and lifelink off of Raphael. Plus, Raphael's a straight up 5 mana 4/4 flyer to try to close out the game. So huge stuff there. When we look at our non-creature slot, it's just a lot of removal like Dragon's Fire, Weaponry, Grim Bounty, and Faraday's Fireball to keep things out of the way. For our aggressive creatures to chip in for damage, we have the 1 Deadly Dispute for a little bit of card draw, as well as treasure producer for Minthara, and then 1 incessant provocation to end the game. If our opponent just has 1 big blocker, we can get our final swing in with that, and we do have 2 of the synergies with this card. We have Sepulchre Ghoul to be able to steal their opponent creature and sacrifice it before we give it back, and we also have Deadly Dispute, so if we have 6 mana, we can steal a creature and sacrifice it to Deadly Dispute. So really nice Rakdos aggro deck here for the second attempt at the Arena Open. Day 1. Game 1 of the Arena Open, we are on the play with a turn 2 Hobgoblin Captain into turn 3 Valor Singer. Solid curve here. I will absolutely keep. Do need to hit another mountain before turn 5 to cast this Fireball, but got a pretty good start to the game. Unfortunately, our opponent is just going to lead things off with a Basilisk Collar, which is going to be a terrible time for us, being able to give things lifelink for only 2 mana to equip. The Death Touch less important, most of our creatures are quite low toughness anyway, but that lifelink is a huge deal for us trying to aggro our opponent down. That can slow us down a lot when they trade their 2/2 into our 3/1 and gain 2 life in the process. All kinds of that stuff. So our opponent is on Jund, green, red, and black. 6 cards in hand here. Maybe throwing a removal spell at something. Improvised weaponry on a Hobgoblin Captain. Or a grave choice, make us sacrifice one of our cards. We will sacrifice the Valor Singer if that is the case. Sewer Plague it is. Going to just kill our Valor Singer. Drawn to Nefarious Imp here. Prefer putting Valor Singer on the board because it gets us more immediate damage. Lets us hit for 4 this turn instead of 3. As well as putting just as much power on the board as the Imp would. Hopefully we can hit a mountain next turn so we can Fireball whatever blocker they're trying to cast here. What if it's a 4 mana blocker? We're probably okay trading up with our 3/1. Could be another removal spell from our opponent here. Eyeballing our Valor Singer again. Open up Notepad again, if I need that. Yep. Blow up our Valor Singer again. We draw into Vampire Spawn. Not bad at all. I think I would rather play Nefarious Imp than Vampire Spawn, so if they play a creature on the ground, I can still hit them in the sky. The Vampire Spawn hits for just as much damage. It's 2, just like the Imp. Sure, it gets us 2 damage immediately, but we can save that for later for the final 2 points out of nowhere. Now, if they just want to use another removal spell this turn, at least we scry one. Alright, we've got our Fireball mana, and we have the mana to play Vampire Spawn and Grim Wanderer this turn. Let's see what our opponent has for us. Just dealing 5 damage to them. That means with Vampire Spawn coming down this turn, no matter what they do, if we just cast Faraday's Fireball next turn, we're going to do 2 damage to their face and end this game. And they're just going to scoop them up. They just don't have creatures in hand. It's just all removal, which is not going to be enough to stop the aggressive start from the Rakdos deck. It'll be 1-0 this time around. Round 2 in the Arena Open, we have a turn 2 Battlecry Goblin. If I draw a single land, I have Valor Singer and Ambergris. If I draw Black Source, this is going to be a really hard to beat hand, so this might be a little greedy, but I'm going to keep it. Eight of the lands in our deck are Black Sources. 5 of them are red at this point. Alright, green-red Scaled Nurturer is the play, and there is a Black Source. This hand is looking spicy. Drop Ambergris here and threaten 5 damage to our opponent. Next turn we can drop Valor Singer, and that will make it so we're attacking with 6 power of creatures, and we'll get a Goblin token. Opponent is down to 15 now. Play their 3rd mana, so they have 4 mana on board. 3rd land, I should say. We're going to pass turn, probably holding up Scale Deflection. That would make Scaled Nurturer a 2/4. Don't really have a play around that. I could improvise weaponry it, and they'll respond with Scale Deflection. We get it out of the way. Unfortunately, improvised weaponry is sorcery speed. If they have scale deflection, which they probably do, they kind of get us here. What is our best play into that? I mean, they only kill one of our creatures, and we get that trick out of their hand for the future. So it's probably pretty fine to just play Valor Singer and attack both. We lose probably our Battlecry Goblin here, but maybe our Ambergris. But then we deal 4 damage to them because we're hitting them with 2 3-power creatures. We're attacking with 2 3-power creatures and a 1/1. So we're hitting for 4, getting scale deflection out of their hand. And then improvised weaponry can pretty much guaranteed kill something next turn. So yeah, there's the scale deflection. We pretty much knew about that. We have to stay aggressive and sack a creature, get that damage in there to make sure we can close this game out before they play anything too wild. So as expected, and now they tap out for a Jaded Sellsword. Unfortunately, improvised weaponry not doing enough damage to kill anything here, but I could double pump Battlecry Goblin with Valor Singer and Saravok here to make it 4 power. Could have Valor Singer pump itself, then we're attacking with a 3/3 that gets blocked by Nurturer or kills the Jaded Sellsword. Battlecry Goblin, we have the mana to buff that twice, which would kill Scaled Nurturer. I kind of just like attack all here, because we'll get another Goblin token down, and I can double pump with Battlecry Goblin alone. Make both these Goblins 3/1s, which means they'll take down a Sellsword if they block with that, and they'll just deal 3 apiece if they don't. And this leaves us open to, depending on how they block, we can weaponry something instead, or we can just let the blocks happen and go for a Saravok. Okay, they're going to put that there, so we need to pump at least once here so we can kill Sellsword. So do we pump once and play Horde Robber? Or do I pump twice just to get 1 more damage? And this has got to be a pump once, play Horde Robber turn, right? I think that's where we're at. Hit for 5, they're down to 6 now. This weaponry might end up going to their face. Owlbear is the play. Pretty annoying. 4/4 blocker here. Grim Wanderer is the draw. Play Saravok, I can make Valor Singer a 5/3 on attacks. I give anything +3. Give anything +3/+0 each combat. So I could attack with a 4/1 Goblin token here. Deal 4 damage to them, or kill a Nurturer or Owlbear. That feels pretty good. They're not going to let the damage in here. If I do it all to Horde Robber, they'll just trade for Nurturer or Owlbear. So let's do it all to the Goblin. I am tempted to go for the Horde Robber attack and try to get a treasure token, but pretty certain that just makes it an easy block for Owlbear. Yeah, if they're thinking about blocking the 4/1 Goblin, there is absolutely no way they weren't going to block the Horde Robber. And yeah, if they don't block the Goblin here, it does put them within range of improvised weaponry for lethal. So good block from our opponent there. Very good block from our opponent. They've got the 7 mana to play their big old Linorm if they want, but I think they die if they do that. Not on board, though. So they could do that. Yep, because so they go to 8, right? So they're not dead on board. I can attack with 3 3-power creatures. Yes, I have them dead, because I attack with 3 3-power creatures by making Horde Robber 3-power and making Valor Singer 3-power, so that guarantees 6 damage through, which puts them to 2 life, which lets improvised weaponry finish them off. Alright. And that's gonna be 2-0 now from our Rakdos aggro deck. Round 3 now. Our opponent's on the play. We have a turn 2 Rabble Rouser and a turn 4 Grim Bounty. I really don't like having Incessant Provocation in the opening hand, but I really don't think it's worth a mulligan with the Double Teamer and the Grim Bounty in hand. Kind of close though, because it's almost like a 5-land hand because Provocation is going to be so irrelevant until very late in the game. But I am going to keep this one. If we can get that double team off the Rabble Rousers, that helps a lot. Basically putting another creature into our hand. So our opponent's still in the think tank. We're going to snap keep here. See what they're on. They're going to start with a swamp. We now have a vampire spawn for turn 3. Very good draw to start it off. Sepulchre Ghoul, beautiful. Now we have the great use for our incessant provocation. I'm going to play Rabble Rouser because it gets to still attack into 2/2s and stuff, where the Ghoul will not, and it's going to give us our double team. Alright, Underseller Myconid. Attacking, they can go for the double block. I can trade into the Myconid itself if they don't need the ramp. They do need the ramp, so they're not going to go for any blocks there. So let's play Vampire Spawn here, and next turn we can play a Ghoul and a Rouser. Since Saravok doesn't matter currently, there's no creatures in our graveyard to profit from. Yeah, next turn plan is going to be Rabble Rouser Ghoul, but first we'll play Mountain and threaten to double pump the Rabble Rouser if we need to. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot how high toughness Rabble Rouser is. They couldn't have double blocked and killed it with Myconid because it has 3 toughness. It's ridiculous. Alright, they're going to go for the kill here. I'm fine with this. Normally it would be a bit of a bummer having to slow things down here and just dump a bunch of mana into killing one of their creatures. But honestly, I don't think this hand is like fast enough to need to be dropping things out every single turn. We have our plan once they ramp into their big stuff. The plan is going to be Grim Bounty and Provocation to kill them. To kill those things, and then after we've made all these trades like this, we're going to use Saravok. Oh, it's the auto insta-win card, Hourglass Coven. Well, we don't have a plan against that. Okay, I've beaten 4 or 5 Hourglass Covens in my life. We can do it again here. But that just flipped the chances of winning in the opposite direction. Now our opponent has a very good chance and we have a very low chance because this card is completely busted. 3/3 that gives their other warlocks +1/+1. Okay. I can Grim Bounty it and play a Sepulchre Ghoul. What are the other 2? Each opponent loses 3 unless they sack it on a permanent, discard a card, and they get to scry 2. If I attack with Vampire Spawn and they block with not the main Hourglass Coven, I can get them. That is such a risky play. Because if they block with the main Hourglass Coven, I just killed my Vampire Spawn for nothing. I think I kill the main Hourglass Coven and attack with this Vampire Spawn and see if it'll trade into another one of theirs, and then post-combat we play a Sepulchre Ghoul, so we have Provocation at the ready. Problem with this is that Hourglass Coven is in a color with reanimation, but we're black-red. We don't have a way to kill it that isn't putting it into their graveyard, so if they have reanimation, they have reanimation. If they can cast 2 or 3 Covens, there's no way that we're doing anything here. Alright. Drop our Sepulchre Ghoul. I guess I could have dropped Rabble Rouser because it blocks better. I'd still have the mana for Ghoul next turn. I think I'm just wanting to do as much damage as I can as quickly as possible here, so we can try to kill them before maybe they draw their reanimation cards to bring back the Hourglass Coven. Still want this 6th land. I'm just going to take 3 to the face. They're going to pass turn here, holding up a bunch of mana. They're just going to send the hags in. Alright, you got me for 4. Make it 6 with a Linnorm. Really feels like they have a Scale Deflection in hand. A Linnorm. I would love it if they just tapped 7 out for Linnorm here. Hill Giant Herdgorger, alright. They can do that too. Love that less because they gain life when they do it. If they didn't gain life when they did that, I was about to have an incredible attack hitting them with their own Herdgorger. So we're taking 5 on the crackback here. It's far from lethal, so I can definitely just do this. We're down to 9 now. We put a 3-1, that'll be first strike most likely onto the board. Sack this Herdgorger. And I think I'm actually kind of okay with discarding Rabble Rouser here, overtaking 3. Make Servok a little bigger. That could be so wrong, though. I mean, I'm going down to 10 if I take this damage, and then they attack for 5 on board. Leaves me dead to 2 attacks of their current board state. I'm gonna take 3 again. Like, if I just hit a land here, it's probably pretty important to actually have some other creature we can keep advancing our board state with. Could definitely see an argument, though, for just discarding Rabble Rouser then. Because discarding it is making Servok add an additional power to the board, and making it so it takes 3 attacks with their current board state to kill us. Attack with just the hags. Still trying to crack back for lethal, or do I try to trade here? I mean, this is 100. If they're attacking like that's 100% scale deflection, which I guess they get to scale deflection on blocks now. Spending 2 mana, holding 4 mana up for scale deflection. We're just gonna get scale deflectioned hard. It's playing 2 songs at once. I'm gonna turn the music off. Okay, Raphael is interesting. We can get a lifelinking devil here. Bane of each end step if a creature died, was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, create a 1/1 devil. That'll be lifelink. Don't have anything that is the card types to get lifelink right now. I could play a Servok pre-combat, but I'm pretty sure I attack all, play Raphael. Maybe attack everybody except for Ghoul, because Ghoul could give me a devil next turn too. And Ghoul can sack the devils at instant speed. Maybe attack with the 2/3 and the 3/1. I guess Hobgoblin doesn't get first strike if I just attack like that, though. First strike's pretty big. So they're just going to scale deflection me here. Any way to play around it? +2/+2. Sepulchre Ghoul is my only creature that can beat whatever they try to scale deflection. Guess I'm gonna get really bold and attack all here. They go Prowler on Ghoul, Miking it on something else and scale deflection. Then we sack the, well, I guess there's no reason to sack that. Alright, let that happen. There's the scale deflection. Now we get a flyer out and 2 blockers, one of which has lifelink and shoots something when it dies. Maybe I should have attacked with like only the ghoul. I really don't know there. Really don't know. And I'll just discard the Rabble Rouser now, so it ends up playing the exact same as if I discarded it last turn. So I think that discard last turn would have worked out for us fine. Main deck Ettercap, I hate my life. Card is a 5-mana 2/5 reach. It is solid even if your opponent isn't playing flyers. Well, it's not. It's okay if your opponent's not playing flyers. Brutal when they are. We could still, if our opponent plays really, really ballsy, find lethal out of nowhere with Servok. Okay, they did not play ballsy at all. They didn't attack whatsoever. So I have the mana to play Dragon's Fire and Servok here. Servok is going to make our devil big enough they have to block it. Or they take, I mean, they could take 6 to the face, but that's not ideal. I'd probably just make the devil a 6/1 and attack. And if they don't want to block here, I can just kill them with Dragon's Fire. Okay, so they're going to choose Ettercap. Is this 1 extra damage going to do anything for me? No, I think it goes to their face. I guess we could kill the Myconid so we know they can't drop a Linorm. Unless they draw a land. Feels pretty bold, though. I am tempted, because the red version gives Menace. Red version gives Menace. I'm really tempted to just hold on to Dragon's Fire to try to do it out of nowhere at instant speed. I mean, they're going to know we're holding something, though, because we're going to take 3 here. We go block. So we go block, block, take 3. Take 2, go to 1. If they have a combat trick, that just gets us killed, but I guess if they have a combat trick, we Dragon's Fire what they use the trick on. Alright. Gonna be weird. I'm gonna go to 3. And hope they just tap out for Linorm. And just attack with Hags or something here. Again, we're hoping for just really corner case things. There's the only way we're getting there, really. I'm guessing this is removal in the top 2 and they're just gonna blow up Servok and we've got no shot. I guess I was gonna end up taking 3 there either way. Like, if I cast Dragon's Fire during my turn, I just don't have anything to discard to not take 3, so either way I'm going to 3 here and potentially just dying. Yeah. I needed them to have to tap that for mana. Wow, they have the Hag and Oyam and Artok, the best black rare and the best green rare. Disgusting. And it's completely hexproof until it does damage. If I could flip to Menace and play Fireball, I might have it here, but I don't have another card to do that, nor do I have the mana. This thing is going to be huge. Make it a huge Menace card if I discard Fireball and they have to block with both, and I kill both, but then I die to Myconid. Their deck is busted. Is there any possible way that I can cheese this out? There's just no way. Yeah, there's no way. Yep. We just force the double block. And take 3. Two and 1. If you think back to the end of that last game, if they didn't have another creature and they did just tap out for Linnorm, we would have won. Oh wait, no, we wouldn't. Because we still kill only one of the two. So then we would just kill the Linnorm and the egg. Although they wouldn't have been able to attack with the Myconid. No, we had a shot for sure, because then we wouldn't be dead. That turn, we'd have another turn at least. Alright, I'm gonna stop stop dwelling on it and get into this game here. I was trying to play the mountain there, but I missed. And accidentally grabbed a swamp. Not that it matters, we don't have double red cards till turn 5, so we are fine to do it this way. Opponent is on blue and white here. Drop a vampire spawn, it'll attack into the Gethzerai well. It's not going to block it well, but neither is a ghoul. This thing will shut off my power if I block with something with 2 or less power. So we're probably just not planning on blocking that. Alright, take 2. Down to 20. Opponent drops a Plains. Priest of Ancient Lore, incredibly good card. Gain a life, draw a card. We can still attack into that though, so I will. Guess I could be really defensive here and just hold my 2/3 back. But I'm not going to do that here. Got provocation and stuff for a lot of damage out of nowhere coming up. Try to outrace their 4 power on board right now. Holding up Patriarch's Humiliation mana here. At least threatening to cast Humiliation. Playing a Flaming Fist Officer. Patriarch's Humiliation would do 3 damage to one of our creatures, so it would kill anything, can't really stop it. It would not kill Raphael though. But if they play another creature next turn, it would. Them holding up a white here does make me a little interested in trying to block. And if it's Tears Blessing, I can just Deadly Dispute my ghoul anyway. But that way we get another creature off their board and they're farther away from Humiliation being enough. But I can also still just take 4. Because it could be Tears Blessing instead of Patriarch's Humiliation. So I don't know if I play around the Humiliation to beat Raphael play. It's Steadfast Unicorn, at least for the turn. Could still have those tricks in hand, though. Okay, go to our turn. I'm going to drop... I'm going to attack with Ghoul and drop a Raphael here. Hit them for 4 with Ghoul and then get a token post-combat. They can trade their Flaming Fist Officer into our Vampire spawn if they want, because I'm going to sack this spawn regardless to get a Devil, because a Devil is really good on this board state. A 1/1 that shoots something for 1 damage when it dies. Really good against the multiple 2/1s our opponent has. Opponent is now down to 13. We are at 16. Hopefully it's not Patriarch's Humiliation. It's Minimus Containment. That is a-okay. Do I have any way to get rid of that in my deck? I don't think I do. But I should probably still just leave the treasure token behind so we can use treasure. Okay, I don't. But yeah, no reason to sack Ghoul here. Or sack it to the Ghoul here. Could keep the treasure around for value. Trade my devil into that. Just on a block if I want. Means I don't get the 2-for-1 anymore. But it's still alright. Don't think I want to do that though. Actually, what could be kind of interesting is I could block is there, I sack the devil, shoot the priest for 1. That makes the Flaming Fist officer bigger, then we steal the officer, attack them with it. So Ghoul attacking as a 4/4 if they don't have priest or officer is fine, because they only have 2 1/2s on the board. Yeah, that does get me kind of excited. Sure. Yeah, let's do that. I should have blocked. That would have stopped 2 damage, so I took 2 damage just for fun there. Okay, and Dragon's Fire is the draw. We've got that too. We can blow up the unicorn here. Or anything else we need to blow up later. Evoke the officer. Could sack my treasure at instant speed here, just to get 1 more Flaming Fist officer damage in. Probably not worth it though. So currently we're dealing 5, we deal 4 if I sack officer, so we'll just deal the 5. And now we sack the officer. Pass back to them. Might have been worth it to kill Unicorn while they were tapped out, so they can't just do a vigilance attack here and hold up blockers for Ghoul. I have to imagine they probably have something better to do with their mana right now. So it's possible they don't. I guess we don't really have anything better to do with our mana either. But then we can save Dragon's Fire if they play something more threatening. Land for turn. Well, that's probably not good. Yep. It's just a Steadfast Unicorn turn. That sucks. Made the wrong call there. Take an extra 2 points of damage for it, and they have blockers up. That's so bad. Really should have just killed that during our turn. Wow, they have a trick too? I know they have Dragonborn Looter up. This could just be Dragonborn Looter. If they have Tears Blessing, that might qualify as punting this away. Things would have went way better for us if we just killed Unicorn during our turn. I don't know, this plays around them playing like a Val or a Laura or any of those like blue specialized cards. Alright, they're at 8, we're at 9. We hit them for 2 a turn, they hit us for 3 a turn, but we have Young Red Dragon, so we can speed that up. We can win the race here, just attacking every turn. Maybe they just trade with the Sepulchre Ghoul. Okay. Sure. Now I'm going to do something a little weird here. I'm going to create a treasure and then play the dragon, rather than playing the dragon and holding up Deadly Dispute, because then next turn I can sack this treasure to the Dispute to draw 2 without having to fully sack a creature. We can just sacrifice the treasure token to do it. This plays worse if they have a removal spell immediately. Like if they just Patriot's Humiliation or Young Red Dragon or something. Like play a creature in a Humiliation. But if they play like Minimus Containment or Charmed Sleep, it still plays just as well. I guess the only way it's worse is if they do like targeted instant speed removal. And even then, it's only slightly worse because it just means we're getting our cards a little bit later. It's not like it's going to save Young Red Dragon from dying. So Priest of Ancient Lore does flip things back in our opponent's favor pretty well in the race. They're dealing 3 to us a turn, we're dealing 3 to them a turn, but they're at 9, we're at 8. I guess we are killing them first because we're attacking first, but it also drew them a card, so they got a nice 2 for 1 here. They are definitely winning the card advantage route. Deadly Dispute can hopefully swap that back around, though, next turn. Give us some good stuff off the top. We will find out soon enough. It is Minimus Containment. Well, great. Valor Singer is the draw. Let's Dispute. I think it's actually better to sack our Young Red Dragon in case we draw Saravok than our other treasure. Because we don't have anything to blow up the Minimus Containment, so might as well. I do want to play these treasures conservatively, which luckily for us is not hard to do here. Because I just need to leave 1 behind for Minthara. But yeah, if I had 1 more treasure token, I would probably still not play the Horde Robber that way. I have the Minthara mana I need if we draw her. So we have 6 power to attack with on board, which means the Hobgoblin Captain can have first strike. Solid draws for us. Unfortunately, opponent hit some very solid draws off their priest as well. And they're looting earlier in the game. Trade into this priest here, try to race 3 for 3. They're winning that race though because they're hitting us first. But I'm about to play a 1/3 that can block Priest of Ancient Lore, so I think I'm going to let it through. If Horde Robber and Hobgoblin Captain can stick on the board, then we are winning the race, and Shadowheart is really winning the race. If they are out of removal here, we discard Horde Robber and flip to Lifelink. I am gonna do that, but I'm gonna attack with Hobgoblin Captain first to draw removal. I feel like if they have removal, they'll pop the Captain, so they know they're handedly winning the race. Alright, Shadowheart. Come on. Come on, no removal, please. Be out of removal. Alright, it flips. We go to the end step to gain 1 life and have our opponent lose 1 life. That is winning the race. They've used 3 Minimus Containments already, fully low on removal in their deck, and Shadowheart can take it for us. Draw a card, discard a card from our opponent, looting here. Checking out our graveyard. Swamp. Is this Viconia? 2 cards in hand, 6 mana up. The Swamp out of nowhere. This could very well be Viconia. Exile a card in a graveyard, specialize, and be able to cast that card. Only if it's a creature, though. Viconia would be pretty huge here, I think. 2 mana, 2 to flip. Be a 3/4 blocker. So they could even pick something they can't cast this turn because it'd be big enough for them to survive our next attack. So they could pick up Raphael or something. Should try to cast against us in the future. I don't know what their best Viconia play is. I'm just going to hope they don't have Viconia. Shocking Grasp to draw a card. Digging for removal. Head into combat past the turn. We draw into Grim Bounty, which gives us lethal on board if we're lucky. A little risky, but I'm going to go for it. Attack for 7. And we get there. That is going to be 3 and 1 now for this Rakdos deck. Maybe 3 and 2, actually, now that I think of it. We will see in a second. Come on, server. I don't have the memory for this. It is 3 and 1. All right, heading into round 5. Round 5 here with a solid keep. Unfortunately, our opponent's on the play here. Beautiful hand if we're on the play, but still good on the draw. Ooh, there's a turn 3 Ambergris to be able to attack with Hobgoblin Captain with first strike turn 3. Ooh, but we draw a Rabble Rouser. And our opponent's on Boros. I think I just go for as much damage as quickly as possible here. And play Captain first. Because the thing about Rabble Rousers, because of that fire-breathing ability, we could play this way late in the game and still get double team value off of it. Because even if our opponent blocks with a 4/4 or something, we just bump it 3 times. Buff it? I can't find my words. Celestial Unicorn. Alright, so that does make it so Rabble Rouser would have died on the attack anyway. So I could just attack with Hobgoblin Captain here. I don't think I'm just dropping Ambergris to trade Ambergris into a Unicorn. I think we're dropping Rabble Rouser at this point. Trading our Captain into the Unicorn. That is solid. Fine with me. Now we play the Rabble Rouser and pass the turn. 4 mana from our opponent. It's going to be their own Rabble Rouser. It could get us pretty bad here if they have the Indestructible Trick in hand, because they could block here and then I would try to double pump to kill that thing. I feel like they literally just wouldn't block if they don't have that, though. So if they block, I'm just not going to pump. Because that would be so bad if they blocked without a trick here, and I double pump and kill their Rabble Rouser before they get to double team. So I feel like a block is just a massive glaring sign that says, I have a combat trick. Like Tears Blessing to give the Rabble Rouser indestructible. They're going to the Think Tank on it, though. Oh, going to humiliate it. That is super okay, because we already got double team. Yeah, if they wanted to humiliate. Humiliating before combat to stop me from getting the other Rouser. And this Rouser will buff that Rouser, funnily enough. But yeah, that does make sure they can block it without taking damage here. Yeah, I think I'm going to play Horde Robber and the other Rouser. Pretty happy with how that went. Humiliation on the first Rouser here. Because unless they kill the second Rouser, that's not going to be relevant. Because the second Rouser can just buff the first one. Minimus Containment my Horde Robber. And they pass the turn. Okay. We have potentially 6 mana up here. If I provoke their Rabble Rouser, do I get the card? When a creature with double team attacks, if it's not a token, conjure duplicate into your hand. I think I get the card if I steal their Rabble Rouser. That's very tempting. I think I can just send in the double Rabble Rouser attack and just kill their Rabble Rouser. Save that for later. It's kind of a weird game. Playing pretty slow here. I could be just getting really aggressive like Ambergris or something, but if I play that, they block and buff Rabble Rouser and kill that. I do not want her to die. Alright, hopefully this just doesn't work how they want it to. And this is not some additional trick from our opponent. They only have red mana up, so the worst they could be is they Dragon's Fire us, and then we've wasted this turn spending mana trying to kill Rabble Rouser. Yeah, it just doesn't work how they wanted it to. Really unfortunate Patriarch's Humiliation from our opponent, and they had the Hippogriff, or they drew into it. And it's just unlikely to matter now. I think now I start just kind of dumping my hand so that we can start doing Ambergris next turn for value. And just shredding really quickly, make them need an out immediately here. Gut Fanatical Priestess, that's pretty good. Kills one of our Rousers without losing a creature. It could trade into Ambergris if they want. But they're going to kill a Rouser without losing a creature. Definitely play... Is there a way to find lethal with this? Specialize. Deal X to opponent where X is the number of cards discarded, which would be 2. Deal 2 damage to opponent, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So close to lethal, but not quite there. Right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I'm doing the math right. And that is not lethal. What if I just provoke? Then it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I'm pretty sure I provoke here no matter what. Yeah, we put them to 1 here. We'll just do that. Discard 2 cards this turn for 2 damage. So that should be 11. Yep, 1 life from our opponent. I did spend my treasure to do that though, so Minthara is not getting cast. Could be a problem. But Nalfeshni is not enough. Gut is forced to attack. They'll have 1 blocker up, guaranteeing that they are going to take 1 damage here. That is now 4 and 1 for the Rakdos deck. Here we are on the play this time around. No creatures till 3 is awkward for our deck. Got like 8 2-drops, but hopefully we can draw into one and it'll be beautiful. Even if we don't, pretty good mana here. Solid creatures. Solid way to get this game started in round 6. Alright, our opponent takes a mulligan down to 6. They are on the draw though. They will just make up for that pretty quickly. Alright, Plains into potential Steadfast Unicorn. Monk of the Open Hand it is. Now I really wish I had a 2-drop, because that is an aggressive start. And it is Boros. Nefarious Imp is the draw. I'd rather play Valor Singer because it's blocking and attacking well instead of just attacking well. Dragon's Fire on Valor Singer it is. Potentially here. 2 mana up and they're holding. Could be playing in full control. Or it could be bathe in gold. Just a treasure from that young red dragon. Maybe playing the dragon this turn, just getting a nice 3/2 flyer down to start beating me up with. Be okay with that. It would mean that they aren't double spelling for the monk. They're just going to pass turn. And do all kinds of tricks here. They want to spend a trick killing our Valor Singer, that's okay. And if it's a particularly bad one, I can sacrifice it to draw 2 here. What is it gonna be here? Block with the Monk of the Open Hand, 4 mana up. They're gonna give the Monk +3/+1. So Valor Singer still trades into it. Okay. They're gonna double spell to get a counter on it. Make it indestructible? No, that is so fine. Alright, 2 for 1 trade. I'll take it. Time for another Valor Singer. Super fine with me. I was expecting maybe that that trick into the Indestructible Adventure or something. Warriors of Tiamat. Uncool. That is way less cool, because that does make up for them just getting 2 for 1, because now they're 2 for 1ing me. I'm gonna have to trade 2 creatures into that to not take a million. Yep, super unfun. Get out of here, warriors. I want to see your face. Play an imp to trade into the next one, and we scry when we do so, at least. And then hopefully provocation into dispute can get us out of this one. Karlach. Oh my god, that's bad. Even if I kill that thing, they get to specialize it from their grave. Oh my god, that is bad. 2/2 first strike straight up, but when it specializes from grave, it'll be a 4/4 first strike haste that can't block, but shuts off a blocker, or a 4/4 first strike haste that's can't block and also creates a 2/2 knight and gives their whole field +1/+1 haste. Good lord, the white version of Karlach is busted. Yeah, we need to outrace that thing. I can't really afford to put that in their graveyard, and unfortunately that's the only thing black and red removal can do. Well, now I have a use for the token I get off of Deadly Dispute. We're gonna play him in Thara. The only thing I can do with my mana here is steal their Karlach, sack it, and draw off of it. But again, if I do that, I'm putting Karlach in their grave, so if they ever hit 6 mana, they specialize it and go absolutely wild. It feels like maybe I just should do that. Because I'm doing absolutely nothing if I don't anyway. And they're 2 mana away from it. And if they go for that, it's not like they're getting more blockers, it's just more attackers. They need to hit 2 more lands and still have extra cards in hand to discard to specialize. Could be throwing the game here, but I'm gonna go for it. I guess they could blow it up in response with their own removal spell. I don't know what they could have to make it so I can't steal it. Patriarch's Humiliation. To kill my Nefarious Imp, make it lose its abilities. I'd love to dispute in response, but then I'm not killing their Karlach, so that would be horrible. So that is just going to die. Yep. Goodbye, Imp. Alright, good draws, good draws, good draws. Come on. Vampire Spawn Servok are good draws. Now we just hope our opponent gets stuck on mana. So far so good, just the young red dragon. We've got a Dragon's Fire now to kill their Warriors of Tiamat if we need to. We're going to play a Vampire Spawn in Minthara, and we can drop Saravok next turn. We're definitely getting a board state that can kill them quickly if they don't hit the lands they need. They're going to need to hit just land immediately to have a shot here, I think. They are going to play Warriors of Tiamat. I can trade Vampire Spawn into that and up my intensity, which is fine by me. Although then Dragon's Fire is not doing anything great anymore because it's not enough to kill Karlach, but I think that's still pretty good. That's still worth it. Shake our Minthara around. Okay, now we play Saravok, and I have the land to discard to Saravok in the future, and we're hitting for a ton of damage. Killing them in 2 swings, pretty much. And yeah, even if they play Karlach from grave, Karlach doesn't block, it's just gonna attack us. And then we'll kill them on board with lethal. Because they'll have 2 creatures that can't block and a 2/2 knight that we can kill with Dragon's Fire. So they need to do something other than Karlach here to stay in the game. They are going to go for the Karlach for white here. We just kill the token. And lethal on board. And here's the Dragonfire for the blocker. That'll be 5 and 1. Incredibly happy with how the Deadly Dispute went there, even though they have that specialize. Super happy that I went for that. Pan out very well for us. I don't know if in hindsight, obviously it was the right play, but without the information of what they're going to draw into and what I'm going to draw into, just drawing blind off the Deadly Dispute, I still don't know if it was like the correct thing to do without knowing what's on top of our deck, but it certainly won us that game pretty quickly, so very happy with how it panned out. So 5 and 1 as we head into round 7. Our opponent has the Tasha avatar this game, and I'm going to sincerely hope they don't have Tasha herself. That card is very hard to beat. Very powerful Planeswalker. They're going to start with Plains and a Steadfast Unicorn on the play. Hopefully this is not one of those 2-drop check games that the format is capable of, where it's like, yep, 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. You lose if you don't have a curve. Luckily it is not. They don't have a 2-mana card at the very least. We'll drop our Battlecry Goblin. And our hand's got a nice, pretty efficient curve to survive an aggressive start from our opponent on the play. Oh, stuck on double Plains here. Our opponent is... I think I want to... They could have set off traps to kill Ambergris. It'd be a little sad, but... just want to pressure them as much as I can while they're stuck on mana and just get damage in. No traps, fingers crossed. No setting off traps. Get a Patriarch's Humiliation here. They 2-for-1 themselves to get Ambergris off the board. Yeah, that's fine by me. It's probably fine with them as well, because Ambergris is a pretty scary, pretty important card to deal with. Underdark Basilisk is the next play. That is annoying. Not annoying enough to Grim Bounty, although Grim Bouncing it would give us Minthara mana. But they're a green deck, so I don't think we're supposed to Grim Bounty here. Probably Valor Singer threatening 3 damage and attack in. Get this Basilisk out of here on one of our cheaper cards. Cool. Land for turn. Alright, they're just going to pass here, so we'll just drop a Vampire Spawn. Kept a pretty risky hand here. They had Well, I guess they had 2 1-drops and a 2-drop. It feels like they don't have a 3-drop. Maybe they just have like a 3-mana removal spell here they didn't want to use, like Minimus Containment or something. That is a possibility. There's the 4th mana from our opponent. Draconic Muralists. If I kill that, they get a big old dragon into their hand, but it probably costs 1,000,000 mana. I could just provoke it instead, hit them for 4 with it, and they can't block with it anymore. They have to keep attacking me. So I'm just going to provoke it. They're down to 4, and they can't block with Muralists next turn. It has to attack me. And I can kill their other creature with Grim Bounty, so if they just play Forest Owlbear, they're just dead. They have to have 2 creatures or a removal spell. Ettercap is 1 creature, and that is going to be game. Grim Bounty, 4 lethal. Really nice stuff from the provocation, winning a game without even sacrificing the opponent's creature. And that's going to be 6-1 now, I believe. We are 1 victory away from making it in to day 2 of the Arena Open. So it's final boss time, and we've got 2 rounds in the chamber. So we head into the final round, potentially. One of the 2 final rounds, if we lose. Here we are in round 8, what could be the final boss. What could bring us in to the Arena Open Day 2. If this hand pans out, if we draw swamps, should be in a great spot. If we don't draw swamps, we still have Captain into Battlecry Goblin, which is a pretty great start, so I'm going to keep this. We are on the play here. We get to really use our aggressive start to our advantage, especially if we hit another, specifically a swamp here. But any other land does get us the Battlecry Goblin double pump on turn 4, which is nice. So we'll see how it works out. Our opponent's on red, which means they probably have plenty of cheap creatures to cast here to prevent us from getting that aggro. And unfortunately for us, that Rabble Rouser is going to be a huge deal. It's going to put another 1/3 in their hand and make it real hard to... Oh, wow. All right. Never mind. We get the 1-for-1 trade. They're very fine with that, and we're definitely using our young red dragon to get a treasure token. Okay, so they're a slower red deck here, red-green, where green has a lot of big late game plays they're going to try to lead into. All right, get our bathe in gold to get our treasure, and we draw into ambergris. 4 mana available. Play Battlecry Goblin and Sepulchre Ghoul, but then my black source is gone. I think I want to just play ambergris and attack with a 3/2 here and leave this treasure token for now. Unfortunately, the mana is not panning out perfectly for us, but the Bathe in Gold is an okay start. Scaled Nurturer and Cobalt Warcaller, so any big creatures from our opponent are definitely getting cast next turn, and definitely getting haste, and unfortunately still no swamp for us. Play the Goblin, give it haste and attack all, then I'm attacking with 6 power of creatures, so I get a 1/1 on board as well. Then with the lack of swamp, that's a huge deal. Could play Saravok and just make ambergris hit for 4 here. And then have a Saravok on board, which is pretty huge. I think I'll go for the Saravok. And Saravok, after discarding our hand to ambergris, is pretty big. I don't think I'm at the point where 2 random cards is better than this current hand. Even though I'm getting close. If I miss my swamp again next turn, I probably ditch this hand. So they have 6 mana. They could play Hill Giant Herdgorger with haste. Well, I'm not really worried about the haste. You can attack me with that thing, I'll take it all day. More worried about them having a 7/6 blocker. Oh no. If if we just hit red sources, I think we win this, or if we had hit black sources, we'd win this game handedly because we have the bounty too. But we're just not going to. Can Ambergris discarding a black card here? I probably should have done that last turn. But I can definitely do that now. So I turn Ambergris into a removal spell. 7, 8. 7, if they have a 5 power or better creature, they just kill us next turn. I guess I could kill Warcaller on the attack so we know they don't haste us and we just take 8 maximum. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can hit them for 9 guaranteed by killing Pilgrim's Eye, but I think it's safer to just kill the Warcaller. There's still no swamps in these next 2 cards. Wow, this is rough. This is far from ideal. And we'd rather have red cards in hand to discard to Sarevok and give our board menace. If I draw a red card or a mountain here, I think I can kill them even if they play like a 5/5 blocker, or like an Owlbear or something. Because I can kill the Nurturer, and then they can't block any menace. Might be a band together though to kill Sarevok, and then I've got nothing. And if this is removal, we're out. They're looking around like it is. There's nothing I would be happier with than them just tapping out for a creature, though. All my hopes and dreams are aligned with that outcome. Just 5 mana Owlbear pass turn. Oh my god, mountain. Red card, red card. Oh my god. Both have menace, right? Including Sarevok? Yes, Sarevok has menace and gives +X and menace to the other creature. They're at 12. That will be 4 power off of Sarevok. I'm adding an additional 5 to that. 9 + 4, 13 damage. Oh my god, we flip red. We flip red, we have menace. Attack both. And kill one of their blockers, which leaves them with only 1 blocker on board, which means they can't block anything with menace. And we find 14 damage, we find lethal. They float the green mana just in case, but they can't block. Down to -2, that is 7 and 1 from this incredible Rakdos sealed deck. What a great pool in the second run of the Arena Open this time around, and that is going to get us into day 2, so you can expect an Arena Open day 2 traditional draft video tomorrow. What a run. Winning that game off of mono red, that is spicy. Oh wow, what a deck. As you can see, just a ridiculous curve over here. Grim Wanderer doesn't really count as a 2-drop, but such an aggressive curve for a sealed pool, really just playing a draft deck in sealed and trying to punish the slower strategies, get in for a lot of damage, and it certainly worked out for us quite a bit. So great run. Had a phenomenal time with it, and we're going to get all of our gems back and qualification for day 2. So keep in tune for that. That will be tomorrow's video, but I'm going to try to calm down, relax a bit in between all of this competitive magic, and get my head clear and ready for the Arena Open Day 2 tomorrow. So once again, as always, thank you all very much for watching. If you want to catch some more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. But once again, just thank you very much for watching. I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.